Hey, good morning, guys. I hope everything is going well with practice. This is Wednesday, last day of practice. Hope you're catching them. If you're not, maybe you can just sit down and spend a few minutes with me here. I do want to welcome everybody. We've got some new guys that are going to be on the feed for the first time. Let me tell you a little bit about what we do. In the old days, we used to do a pre-tournament meeting. Sometimes we still have a pre-tournament, meeting together, but lately, I've been doing these little video devotionals for you, so we welcome all of you here. I want to thank all of the anglers who attended our Meet the Pros event over at Ryan's Creek Baptist near Coleman, Alabama. Really appreciate you guys showing up for that. The pastor called and just said that the entire church had a delightful time. I know you guys are busy, and I appreciate you taking your time to do that. As of right now, that's our final one for the year, unless I can find one in New York. And I'll let you know about that as well. Now, a couple of things that we've been talking about this year. One of the first things I shared with you was about being an accurate reflection of light for the gospel. That Satan has blinded the minds of the unbelievers where they cannot see the light of the glory of the gospel of Christ. We talked about our speech, about how as believers we need to watch our speech and watch what we say around, people, believers and non-believers alike. And we talked about, having the peace of Christ in your life when we met together. And so today, I want to share with you just a couple of minutes about some things that I've been studying in my own Bible study time. A lot of the first 12 disciples were actually professional fishermen. Now, they weren't professional fishermen like you guys are. They were more like commercial fishermen. They were eating to sell and survive, by selling their catch and eating their catch and things like that. But I do have kind of an imagination sometimes, and I kind of wonder, all right, of the guys that were fishermen, Peter, Andrew, James and John, that were professional fishermen by trade. I wonder if you put them in today's Bassmaster Elite Series, what kind of jerseys would they wear? What would be on their jerseys? Now, I see a lot of you guys have some of your favorite Bible verses on your collar and on the back, stuff like that. But I often wondered, what would Peter have on his jersey? What would Andrew have on his jersey? And what would John have on his jersey? And I want to talk to you a little bit about John. Now, John, is a major player in the New Testament. We think he was the author of the book of John, also the Johnian epistles, 1 John, 2 John, and 3 John. And he wrote a pretty significant book at the end of the Bible called the Revelation. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about John. And if I had to guess what John would put on his jersey, I imagine somewhere on his jersey there would be that we should love one another. I want to share with you a couple of verses that John writes about. The first one is in John 13, chapter 30, 34, 35. It says this: "Now I'm giving you a new commandment." This is Jesus speaking. John's writing Jesus' words. "Love each other. Just as I have loved you, you should love each other." Now listen to this part. "Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples." Wow. I'm going to flip over here to one of the Johnian epistles over here in the book of 1 John. And this is what John writes in 1 John. He says, "This is the message you have heard from the beginning. We should love one another. We must not be like Cain, who belonged to the evil one and killed his brother. And why did he kill him? Because Cain had been doing what was evil, and his brothers had been doing what was righteous. So don't be surprised, dear brothers, if the world hates you. If we love our brothers and sisters who are believers, it proves that we have passed from death to life. But if a person who has no love, he is still dead." Goes on down further to say this. He says, "God is love, and all who live in love live in God, and God lives in them. And we live in God, our love grows more perfect. So we will not be afraid on the day of judgment, but we can face him with confidence because we live like Jesus here in this world. Listen to this. Such love has no fear because perfect love expels all fear. And if we are afraid, it's for the fear of punishment, and it shows that we have not fully experienced his perfect love. We love each other because he first loved us. And finally, in the book of 2 John, this is what John writes. He says, love means doing what God has commanded us. And he has commanded us to love one another, just as you heard from the beginning. The Bible plainly speaks that other people who are not believers will know that we belong to Christ by our love for each other. Now, I want to call your attention, what it doesn't say that we have to like every brother that we run into. Because I'll be very honest with you, there are brothers in Christ that I love, but I don't necessarily like them. And I know there are brothers that love me that don't necessarily like me. But it does say that the world will know we belong to Christ by our love for one another. You know, one of the greatest honors I've had in my life, I've had many, was to get a chance to share and be the, kind of the lead speaker for Aaron Martin's memorial service in Alabama. And one of the things I want to say about Aaron is Aaron didn't go around telling everybody he was a Christian all the time, but I knew he was. Because every single time, probably about every single time I talked to Aaron said, I love you, bro. I love you. He just said it out loud. And I know he said it to many, many of you every time he saw you. So I know that in the next probably few weeks or months, we're going to make a lot of decisions in Bass about different things. And when I say we, I don't mean me. I mean, Bassmaster is going to make a lot of decisions about what's going to happen. And I know, with the forward-facing sonar issue and everything, it's going to be a lot of upheaval. And no matter what decision anybody makes, somebody's not going to like it. But I want us to always keep in mind that people who are unbelievers are watching us. And they're watching how we treat each other. They're watching for our love for one another. And our love proves that we belong to him and shows it to the world. Man, I hope you guys have a great tournament. If you need me during the tournament, I'll be here the entire tournament, and I'll be happy to serve you in any way that I can. If you don't have my number, it's 864-414-9453. You feel free to pass that along and share it to anybody who needs it. I want to end with this. I love you guys.